Welcome to UI Mondays with Kathryn and Alyssa. You get a double feature today. We are going to be diving into the new CSS Cascade Layers, and I am super excited about it.
Hi, Fuel. He's saying, are we building console apps in CSS today? There's so many times, Kathryn, I'm doing my JavaScript girl in a .NET world, and I bring on people, and they're teaching me how to do .NET things. And literally last week, I was like, so is this like CSS layout? And they were like, no. And I was like, oh, okay, because it's called Flex. It's called the Flex layout. And I'm like,
it seems fair. That's always...
Sure, Maui. That's not from CSS. But then the .NETers were going on and on about how we were here first. And so I'm like,
sure, whatever.
The web, I don't know. So I'm excited, though, because if I start seeing, like, Cascade Layers, like, eventually show up in .NET, I will know. All right? I was here for this one. It was on the web first.
I have the same feelings about grid. Especially like as a designer first, that's like when I thought about grid, I thought about originally just the grid approach to laying elements out on a page. Then we got it in CSS, which is nice. Those things were mostly the same. Now, when people talk about like data grids, I'm like, what? That will always take me a minute to like catch up and realize that they're not talking about layouts.
No, I'm right there with you because grid for me is CSS. It is a layout. And so
yeah,
I think that actually started a really cool conversation when I was like, what are you talking about? And they had to like slow up and define what they were talking about. Trezzy Code says, I'm sorry, what? .NET was here before CSS. I don't know. This isn't like hard fact. I have a .NET stream where I'm learning .NET, and those people were telling me that was the order of events. It's kind of like hearsay. I'm just taking their word for it. Was it?
Oh, not at all.
No?
Well, yeah, .NET, just going from the little sidebar that I get when I Google it, it says that .NET was released in 2016, which is not just a little bit after CSS, like ages after CSS.
I have so much to say. So I was on a Women of .NET stream, and I was on with these other women who are like very prolific in .NET, right? And some of them were even with Microsoft and other companies. And yeah,
sorry,
and they were like,
typo is killing me.
Which typo? 100% was around before CSS.
CSS was here before CSS. Didn't you know?
Oh. I didn't even see the typo. I didn't even see it, Kathryn. Oh, that's funny. But no, I'm gonna take this negative info back to my other.
For reference, because I was just like, CSS was like ages ago, like 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. I was even wrong. CSS was 25 years ago. Initial release, December 17th, 1996.
Wow.
So CSS is the OG. Yeah. Way earlier.
Okay.
With like many A's. I couldn't have told you when .NET happened, so I couldn't have said it with like serious
I just kind of like
earlier.
The beginning the beginning of time, right? Like, I don't know. It just seems like it's been around. I'm very...
I guess the question is, were we talking about Flex or were we talking about CSS? Because that's correct. Flex was a later addition to CSS. If we're talking about CSS as a language, we're talking about 96.
That might be where they got me, because we were definitely talking about the different layouts that you have in .NET MAUI, and they're named things like the grid layout, the Flex layout. And I was like, these all were stolen from CSS. And then chat was like, or did CSS steal it from .NET? And I'm like, I can't, because I guess it was originally Xamarin who had those layouts. So I think I would have to look up when Xamarin got a Flex layout versus when CSS got a Flex layout is how we'd have to.
That's a good. .NET just had its 20 years, which is correct. I do remember that.
And you just said, Kathryn, that it's CSS 25?
Yeah, I'm
just. I know those don't cover like when Flex was introduced, but is your chat doing something weird? And like you can't see the bottom comment.
No, I think I can see it.
Okay, I'm gonna be.
I guess I don't know if I'm not seeing the. How would I know?
Well, because I can see half of it. I can see the name of the person who commented, but I can't see their comment.
Then yeah, no, it's not doing that. I'm gonna share real quick. I need somebody to tell me. I'm going exclusively on Wikipedia vibes alone. So how come when I Google .NET, I get this initial release 5 years ago? That's probably itty bitty. Why is it telling me 2016? I know that's incorrect because I remember us doing the whole thing with the 20 years anniversary.
I'm assuming it's just talking. Is this just talking about .NET Core? Because like, you know, they've got like the different versions and when they upgraded and renamed and refabricated. Not regular .NET. Yeah. .NET Framework is different than .NET Core. Yeah. So it's got to do with this history, which is like really long and disgusting
there we
and
go.
hard to
2022. Thank you. My Google was leading me. Thank you. Much better. That makes more sense. CSS still wins since this is a competition. But now I understand why there was a debate.
I love that. Oh my goodness. But I'm excited about Cascade Layers, and I'm curious, you brought this up as a topic for today. What got you looking into this? What was the first like intro to this that you found?
So I've been seeing people kind of kick around Cascade Layers for a long time. We've been getting the like, hey, it's coming, like pay attention kind of tweets and all of that stuff, at least in my section of Twitter. So recently though, like as of the last major browser releases for Chrome and Firefox, Cascade Layers is fully supported. So you don't have to use feature flags anymore. You don't have to be on like Nightly or Canary or whatever. Safari is, like usual, one like a half step behind. They do have it in technology preview in their like TP browser, but we're expecting full support next Safari browser release. So
excited to dive into it. So can you show us what are they? What are they? Because whenever I first heard of them, I was like, the thing that already exists because CSS is cascading. Like that was the hard part because I'm like, what?
Yeah. So it really helped me, and I don't know how much of this analogy will actually help other people, but it really helped me to think about they're very similar to like layers in like a design program, in the same way that like when you imagine like layers in Figma or layers in Photoshop, like you can group styles together in a layer, and then you can kind of move those up and share my screen. I promise I'm not just gonna gesture wildly for the entire time. Cascade Layers, but through interpretive dance. Kathryn.
Like I've only ever wanted my code explained in interpretive dance, so it's perfect.
Honestly, like I said it and laughed, but then also I would watch it. So I prefer not to do it, but I would consume that content.
Okay, so show you this because we're using layer.
So yeah, this is not, spoiler alert, this is not something that I built. I'm trying to remember where this came from source-wise, and then I will share it.
The layer precedent beats the element specificity. Ooh, so that sounds pretty powerful, right?
It is. So it's basically like adding a new kind of, I almost said a new layer, and that was like self-referential. But yes, it's changing. It allows us to change the order of the cascade in which things have precedence over which other things, which is huge.
Trying to see, it's not place item center. Is it being specified on body there or no?
So yeah, she's got the way that she split this up, and again, I can't remember who wrote it. The kind of basic code is over here in the CSS, but then layers are defined over here. So we've got this new syntax at layer, where in the same way that we would kind of previously define like a media query, we can now define a layer in the same way. Create a layer, give it a name, and then put styles inside of it.
Do you think it was just purely because of the way they're teaching that they put it in a style tag? Like, does it need to
be? You don't have to do that. Let me, can't type. Yeah, so here's one I was playing with yesterday. Oop. It looks like I deleted the layers part. How fun for me.
No, can you Command Z? Does it have any history on that?
I don't think so. Not since I closed it. Yeah. But it's okay. We can write it from scratch.
Trezzy's saying, at Fuel, yes, I read Ada's algorithm last year, and honestly, thinking about inventing programming pre-computers is mind-boggling.
I have such a like insane admiration and hero worship for Ada Lovelace, and the idea of programming on the Babbage computing engine is wild.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah. Not that it's really relevant, but we're playing Shadowrun in my role-playing group right now, and I have a decker named Ada who's named her machine Babbage. And,
like, but your group gets it? Like, they get the reference? No?
One of them got it. I had to explain it to everyone else, but it's bringing me such joy that I don't even care.
Oh, I love that so much.
So
how long is this campaign going to plan for?
I think we've only got a little bit left, and then we're switching back to D&D because we're just an easily distractible group. I wish we were the kind of group that could do like a level 0 to 20 kind of campaign, but the real truth is that like we play a game for like maybe a handful of layers, usually like levels. Like, we'll get like 1 to like maybe level 5 or 6, and then we're like, ooh, but other games.
I see.
What if we play Starfinder? What if we play Shadowrun?
I got into this
Dresden Files.
I feel like the last group I was with, they were just like so addicted to their like character they'd invested in that they couldn't like.
We're so distractible.
Branch
I have
out.
like a whole. I've got like one of those file organizers with like all of my character sheets, because we'll abandon a game and then later be like, what if we went back to that Eberron campaign?
Oh, so you have picked up old ones?
We occasionally pick them back up and play them for like another couple levels. I don't think we're starting a new campaign. Again, totally off kill. I could talk about D&D forever. We're starting a new campaign and we're going to try really hard to keep playing the same characters for a long time. And we're basically doing like a shared world. So we're all contributing to the world building, and then we're all going to take turns DMing within the same world, so that we'll just like rotate out who's running and who's playing, but otherwise like the characters will stay the same. And we're hoping that might get us past like level 10 for the first time. Like, this group has been playing together. Oh my gosh, it's got to be 7 years now we've been playing together.
Awesome. How many people in it?
6.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah.
Ever crested level 10. In any game.
It was like Babbage came up with the marquee, I heard, and yeah, that tracks.
Yeah. I'm curious what this game is that's being recommended.
I know the role player.
I don't know. I don't want to pull us more off topic, but also I'm very curious. But yeah, you should see my Roll20 hours are disgusting. I don't know why it tells you in Roll20 how many hours you've logged. I don't want to know that. That's not good for my mental health.
I know. Sometimes when the phone at the end of the week will be like, who asked you? I don't want a recap. No.
No, I didn't ask for this. I don't want this. I'm not grateful for it.
Yeah, that's right. I just Googled role player and can't find anything, Fuel. I don't know. Maybe I Googled it improperly. So you say @layers base app.
Let's see if I remembered the syntax correctly off the top of my head.
I love it. I love it.
So one of the things that I really like with this is that you can kind of start by defining like your layer stack, which is really cool. And that allows you to kind of order the way in which your layers will be read. And it works the same way that like CSS works, so like the last one will override priority wise if you have conflicting styles. Okay. But this allows you, because the way layers work are that it will go in the order in which the name, like in which the layer first appears. Right. So if you can just write them without making a list at the top, but then if you want to reorder them later, you have to like move the whole chunk of code up and down.
Okay.
So if we use this listing approach at the top, then if you're like, actually, never mind, I want app first and I want like base later, you can just reorder those without having to reorder the actual layers themselves.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, feel teasing me because they were on this morning when I was doing Dev by Design, geeking out about P3 colors and color gamut. So I think it'll work. I'm gonna write some styles
Okay.
in each of these. So like, actually, I think that's in each one that I have in there. So I'll do that. And I'm gonna delete my colors here because the other thing to note about layers is that anything that is not in a layer, the CSS that you had before will still always take precedence. That was done intentionally, from what I read, as like a backwards compatibility thing.
Okay.
So that you can start incorporating layers without worrying about like borking up all the existing code in your code base.
But not unless for some reason the only code in your code base is like element based, because that wasn't that article saying that this beats element specificity, or
yeah, I guess that's true if you were doing like exclusively.
Okay. So like let's on your thing that you used to erase, didn't you just have H1 or did you have a class?
No.
Because I'm wondering if like if you do just have like all H1s but outside of the layers.
Let's find out.
Because I'm hoping it gets overridden. Right? That's the way it should work.
All right, so right now we can see, right, here's my pink getting applied to my H1.
Okay.
Because it's further down in 2. If I swap these, they should. Oh, I thought it would swap.
Oh, so swapping it would be like...
I thought that we would get
nesting?
a green.
Oh yeah, the nesting's right. Let me see. Layer 1.
See if I left anything out. Maybe it does need a class. Let's try... here's our color title. Oh, I'm so curious how I've messed this up. Maybe this is just layer. Yeah, that was it. Aha. So I wonder actually, maybe I didn't need this. I wonder, because I'm pretty sure it will work on element based.
Okay.
So yeah, see, that's still sticking. And if I swap these guys to change the order, it's changing the order.
Okay. So
my layers.
Do you think it's actually, this is mind blowing because it's like, you know, with like something that's going to be compiled, right? Like I could see like if this was Sass, then like it's just swapping the order that the DOM is going to read it. But this is CSS. So it's like, it's actually changing the order that this is listed essentially to it. Like,
yeah. So it's changing. Let me find, there was a really good graphic that Jen Simmons tweeted. That I have bookmarked somewhere in my mess of bookmarks.
I know, right? Sometimes I accidentally show my bookmarks on screen and everyone's embarrassed for the mess. Least powerful, most powerful. Okay.
Right. So it's breaking up. So basically like author styles here used to be any of the CSS that like we were writing, right? Like any of the style sheets in an application. Whereas things like user styles are like the user's default system styles. So like if you have dark mode set or you have like accessibility adjustments where you've zoomed in on the screen and it's changed the font size, those are your user styles. And then there's like browser inherent styles, which I think are the UA styles. I'm trying to remember what UA stands for. But then author styles are what we would write. And so this allows us to break these up into layers and then have control over how those are read.
Okay.
So
I'm trying to think of like the most like backing up and looking at like what like this would be powerful for. I guess for like theming systems or rebranding things, that would be great because it could be easily it's an easier way of defining the specificity that you want to swap. Can you think of other things of like?
One of the big things that I read that made a lot of sense was talking about external style sheets from like libraries. And I thought that, so like if you're using something like our Kendo library, it comes with like a Kendo style sheet, right? But then like so does if you use like, I'm trying to remember, like any icon libraries will come with one. Or if you have like a reset CSS file, that's got, you know, like there's all of these bits. And so Right. If you're using any kind of styled component library or styled third-party anything, it comes with its own style sheet. And it's really nice to be able to put that in a layer where you know you can always overwrite it. Like, you don't have to worry about where that fits in or how it's getting compiled. You can import directly, you can import and then assign a layer, which I think is really cool. Like, literally, you could, if I had, this wasn't mine. If I had something to import, I could import into a CSS file by file, and then say layer 3. And then whatever I imported would become the contents of a layer, and then I could fit that layer into my stack wherever I want.
Now, so it looks like at this point we're just using it for restacking purposes. Is it also meant to be something that you use in like your specificity when you're calling something out? Like at some point, should I be like the kendo layer and then on top of that, and then that's like, is it meant for that, or is it?
I'm not sure I followed what you
So
were asking.
essentially, are the layers also meant to be used as selectors on their own? You know, like so that you could add specificity to an already existing style by throwing on, by the way, that's in the kendo layer or whatever.
You can, and I'm pretty sure that like with something like this, if I imported, I could create like layer 3 here, and I could write styles, and those would be added to the same layer. If I wanted, like, let's say this is the kendo layer just for keeping track of things, because that's a better name than 3. So if I wanted to write my own styles and put them into the kendo layer, or if I wanted to combine like multiple external style sheets and put those in like an external style sheets layer, those could all live in the same place.
Oh, that's really cool. I love it. Can you prove real quick that like put like an H1 or something and make it a different color just so that we can prove that the layer is beating the element selector?
Yep. Yeah, so anytime anything is outside of a layer, that's always going to win. Again, with intention, because like if you try to just start using layers, and like your whole code base, of course, innately does not have layers because they have not existed, then that would just mess everything up.
So it sounds like the like plan of attack would be you start using layers and then you start organizing your existing, like all of your CSS into what layer it belongs to so that it would properly flow, right? Like, if you just started writing in layers as of today, you're probably not going to see much of it.
Yeah, I think it would be. Sorry, I was cracking up at Prago throwing us a line. What's kendo? Do tell.
Oh, Mike. He's funny. So for those of you who don't know, Kathryn and I work for Progress, and we make a line of killer components. Kathryn's on the React side. I don't know why that noun was like evading me, and I'm on the Angular side. Really doesn't matter what side you're on, though. Even if you're on like the .NET side, we have you covered. So
we got components for that.
Wait, that should be our line. Like, it's not our official line, but like it should be.
We've got a component for that. Was that there was like that's a tagline of a real thing.
Oh no, somebody else already has that?
Oh no, it's like there's an app for that. Duh.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I
see what you did there. I see.
The chat just continuing to poke the bear.
Yeah, the bear. I smell a troll.
Which is better? Alyssa and I have bravely set aside our differences.
All for the sake of CSS, okay?
Yeah.
Knockout. Oh, lols. Yeah. For sure. Oh man. Okay, so elements win. You can use layers. They sound pretty powerful for reorganizing. And I wanted to pull up that code pen you had because I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing, especially with the syntax, because it seems pretty simple, right? You're defining the layers, and then you also have the cascade list that you're listing.
Right. It honestly is pretty simple. It's mostly just a way to kind of organize CSS prioritization without having to resort to like the kind of naming methodologies that we were really reliant on before. So like before we would see like object-oriented CSS or like BEM, or I'm trying to remember what else people did. The like
BEM.
inverted
Do
triangle.
you ever spend
thing.
time with BEM? Intimate time?
I have not. I've had to write a lot of object-oriented CSS.
Yeah.
I have not worked for a company that was standardized on BEM. Thankfully, because it looked unfun.
Right?
Honestly, they both kind of suck.
I was like, oh,
That's
this
my
is
hot take.
when I really got into. I was like, this is okay.
But yeah, so like that's the kind of stuff we had to do previously in order to ensure that we weren't like constantly overwriting stuff. And some of that has been helped a little bit with like the componentization of CSS, like component like moduling stuff. So we see there's been a little bit of fixing that at like the application level ish, but then also there's just so much more. There's so many more styles. Like if everything is scoped appropriately throughout the entirety of like, your application, then yeah, maybe layers not going to be huge, but I will also say I have never worked for a company where everything is scoped correctly. Like,
no, that's yep.
Right, it always ends up in just like a soup of import statements and
literally like saying, yeah, my company shipped a bug-proof app. Like that's what you're saying. Like
no,
that programmers. So I just
the last place I worked, honestly,
network thing. So chat, let us know if we're still here. What are you saying, Kathryn?
I was just saying the last place I worked, honestly, as much as I like loved the team and everything, they had inherited basically a piece of legacy software, and the UI side of the team was new. It was they were just kind of coming through their like startup-y time, and so there was a lot of CSS that had been written by back-end developers that was inherited by a new set of UI engineers, and it was a struggle. When I think about like what Layers could have done for that team, I could simply weep. I wish I could go back in time and be like, please take this. Like, Layers will save your life.
So you were telling me that, like, can people use it now though? Like, if their team is
you can use it right away. Yep. The only exception I believe is Safari, and that should be coming soon. So yeah, currently, I guess Edge is a little bit behind, but the three kind of major power players, Chrome, Firefox, Safari, all have it. Safari, it is in technology preview, but we've been told next to release. So you can start using it. And it's on iOS, so just test everything on your phone. It's fine. Just only use Safari on your phone. It's for the best. But yeah, I think it's going to be really helpful for that kind of like organization and structure, and not having to write a bunch of importance or figure out, like trying to go through like the inspect tool and figure out what's overwriting the style that you just wrote. And you can nest layers inside of other layers. Do you know that?
Okay, hang on. I'm trying to think of what nest layers. So
I could say,
I'm trying to think if I need to do this. I guess if you have something less important in 2.5.
Yeah. Layer 2.5. I started writing 2.5 and then I changed 2.5.
Oh my gosh. Do you think people are going to take it this far? Why? Do you think it's needed? Sure. The nesting of it, that's going to like kill my brain power right there. Because then you're like, oh, we have a specificity within this already, like this hierarchy already. So then would you redefine where you have layer 1, Kendo 2, or would you put 1.5 in that? Or do you have two different trees that you're defining?
You can do two. I could say 2.5. I'm pretty sure. Or no, there's a way. Hold on. I think it's dot notation.
Oh, is it really?
There is dot notation. I don't know if I'm using it correctly.
Looking up.
Let's Google it. There we go. Okay, so yeah, you can nest and you can reference.
They do realize the pain that this is causing, right? Because like
see, and when I read this, I was like, this has to mean nesting is coming in general, and that got me hyped. I was like, they're trying it out. They're dipping their toe in.
There's no way, Fuel. There's no way. This is me saying impossible. How would they maximum number? How would they reinforce that? I
don't think so. I'm curious now. I would like. I'm trying to. Get
You've gone too far. One nesting too far.
Too. I'm trying to see if I can make my nested layer work. If I'm framework layer reset. Oh, do I have to? I think I have to define it maybe outside. So.
Oh, user agent UA. I just found.
Thank you.
20
There's
minutes
one mystery
later.
solved from 10 minutes ago.
I know, right? Okay, let's see. That's kind of cool, though. This example that's talking about nesting the layers, like, I'm starting to see why you'd want to, like, because they have this one, this example where it says the layer is called framework. And then inside that framework layer, they've got defined a layer cascade of reset, base, and components. Yeah. And then outside of all of that, they're calling framework.reset, right? Or framework.base. And so like, I can kind of see now like how that's, because at first I was like, oh no, the nesting is going to hurt my brain. But I can see how, especially with proper names for it, it could help you keep track versus.
I think it's good. I like that it uses dot notation. I think that makes a lot of sense and it's going to mesh up really well with what other engineers are used to working with. Something new standard? Yes. Yes, layers are here.
Unless you are on Edge and then they're sorry.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair though, if you're on Edge.
Oh, we're sorry in general. Yes,
you're
right.
Just sorry.
Someone's hating us right now. I feel it. I feel the negative vibes. The Edge lovers.
Yeah. Edge does use Chromium. There's always a step behind it, seems like. I don't know why, because you'd think if they were all based on the Chromium engine, they would all be in lockstep, and yet everyone has layers but Edge. So really that.
Maybe does everyone have layers, or is everyone beta in layers? Like, what's the? Because I'm wondering if like once everyone officially has it, if they'll actually release it on Edge, or if that's what we're waiting for.
Chrome and Firefox have layers.
Have it? Okay.
Yeah, they have got them for real in production, which is like I'm just using regular Chrome. I'm not using like whatever Canary. I had to think about which one was the developer name for Chrome. But yeah, you just got it now in Chrome and Firefox. And Safari, it's in their technology preview one. So you do have to like go download turn the flags on and stuff for them. But you can start to develop for Safari and test in Safari with that. Edge. So no.
It is weird that they're not, like you said, in lockstep because
yeah,
interesting.
Although we were talking about that a little bit this morning. It's like been flipped because we were talking about P3 colors and the new like color gamut support, and Safari is ahead of the pack on that. They've already got like not even in like test mode, just full up support for like LCH and P3 color definition, which is super cool. Nobody else even has it in like tech preview mode yet. So.
Was that what you were talking about earlier? You said, like,
yeah, that was what we talked about on Dev by Design this morning.
I'm so like other color, like, ooh, other color formats.
That was exactly what I did all morning.
I'm like, do you know how helpful that would have been 3 years ago? Do you?
I was talking about web safe colors. Like, do you even remember when we had to code things with like 216 colors, and those were the only ones that you could
no idea how we
know.
even coped. Like, what?
Terrible.
No, but I'm being dead serious. Like, there's so many things. Like, there's so many companies now that like they couldn't, not just from branding perspective of like, you know, I worked for a company that printed fabric. They couldn't get away with that. Like, yeah. And so I'm just amazed and I'm so excited. Were you playing with them, or are they like beautiful?
Yes, we were playing with them a little bit this morning. It is nice because I'm going to tangent us off again. We're going to talk about
Love it.
We're going to talk about P3 colors now.
I want to see it.
This is really, so there's a couple different ways to define P3 colors. Yeah. My favorite is the LCH. But actually, let me pull up. You guys can get a look into my brain because I'm going to make the mistake of sharing my Notion. But yeah, there's a couple different ways you can use this like color, and then you specify, I don't know, this is tiny, sorry. Specify the like type of color, and then it's on an RGB style percentage kind of thing. But instead of going from like 1 to 255, it's like a 0 to 1, the same way we define opacity right now. Okay. So that's one way. It's mediocre, but it's coming. Then we get lab syntax, which is really nice. That stands for lightness, color channel A, color channel B, and it works like this weird little diagram. So,
do you think everyone's going to jump on this bandwagon? Do you know? Have you heard?
Yes. I mean, yes, they will have to basically eventually jump on this bandwagon. Okay. Because monitors just keep getting better. Right now, basically what we consider P3 colors, and even the step beyond, which is called Rec 2020, those colors are supported right now by like ultra high-end televisions. So if you buy like a 4K UHD TV, those support P3 and sometimes Rec 2020 color. So it's really at this point just a matter of time until the hardware makes it from like TVs and whatever down to computer monitors, and we have browser support. And once we have both of those things, then we'll need to start writing colors this way, and the RGB method will start to be depreciated. We'll start to see a shift. That's starting to be
awesome. I just had this
like sRGB, standard RGB. So that stuff will start to be pushed back. And if you want to use the new colors, you're going to have to do lab or LCH.
I love it. I had the flash forward of like us talking about, do you remember RGB? Like having that conversation. Like, do you remember when colors were just oh God.
We were talking about this morning how freaking hard it is, how unintuitive it is to define colors right now. Like, as much as we've gotten really used to living with hex colors, and
I feel like
RGB.
It's incredibly limiting still. Like, you're talking about what was it, 200 and was it 56? I feel like I'm making that one up.
216 original web colors.
And I like, we're talking about that as limiting, but I felt very limited with the current setup, just trying to build out a color picker. I was like, this is it?
Well, yeah. And one of the things that I think is a shame is that the way that we have gotten used to defining color for the most part using the RGB or the hex code method makes a lot of sense from a computer standpoint, but it doesn't make a lot of sense from a human developer standpoint. That's not the way that humans think about color. That's the way that pixels and computers think about color, you know? And both of these shifts, both lab and LCH, are moving us towards a more intuitive way of thinking about color. So that if you look at something that's defined LCH and you're like, you know, actually, I want it a little bit brighter, like that's not saturated enough, or like, actually, I want this a little bit more, like it's red, but I want it more orange, or, you know, I want it a couple shades darker. That's something we can make adjustments to in the numbers without having to like go back to a color picker, fiddle with the colors, put it back in our code. No, that doesn't look right. Go back to the color picker. Like, yeah. So
I think that was my first taste of that, was using like mix-ins and things that could kind of give me that faux, like where I'm adjusting colors based on what makes sense to me. Like, like I need the alpha to go up or down, right? So I think I'm excited for I feel sad though, because it's like the end of SAS officially, I guess, is what I see it now.
I don't
No?
think we will have. I think
You
the
really
end of
don't
Sass
think
will be
so?
when nesting is native to CSS.
Which I don't think we're far away from.
I don't think we're far, but that's when I'm going to call it, unless we see some big change with Sass. Because right now, I would say nesting and mixins are the two things that are keeping me using Sass right now.
Yep.
Over vanilla.
I don't know why. It's not like it's a person that's dying,
Oh.
but in my heart, I would be sad. I will be sad.
I don't know, but you weren't sad about not writing RGB colors anymore.
That's true. I wanted that to die a horrible death. So I think Sass was that tool for me that opened those doors. So I'm like, oh, don't go.
This is so definitely tangential, but I love Sass. I love how accessible and easy it makes writing CSS, and B, I love that it is unabashedly feminine. Just gonna throw that out there. It is a library that is branded feminine, and that is rare in tech, and I love that they are.
It is
proud of that, and that hasn't changed, and that it continues to be like sassy, whatever. Like, hell yeah.
I love that. One of my, you've seen my demo app that has ponies. I know you're not a huge fan of ponies. I
support the ponies. I just don't personally understand them. That wasn't a part of my childhood, but I respect it.
Well, and for me, it's not like I'm, constantly like thinking about ponies, have ponies everywhere. That was one of the things of like, you don't see demo apps that are like horribly feminine. And so for me, I was like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Like, so when you said that about Sass, I was like, yeah, I feel that. Yeah. Hey, Aztec. Good to see you. And chat. Sorry, Ed was helping chat. I appreciate you so much, Ed.
Thank you, Ed.
Nothing will ever end. No. Okay. So for me, Fuel with Sass, right now we have this like really symbiotic relationship with things like Kendo UI, the component library, and Sass, and adding in your own styles and branding and using mix-ins. And for me, it's like this wonderful world and things work. And I'm really scared of the day, not scared, just don't look forward to it, when people are like, buy Sass, because then there are things that will never be supported natively with CSS. And so then it's like, what do we do about that? Like if most projects are now saying goodbye to Sass, which if you can say goodbye to that step, obviously, like, why wouldn't you? But also, what do we do about the missing pieces? So I that's kind of the part where I'm like, nauseous about. As a brony, I'm offended.
There's a lot of pushback on the ponies.
Are ponies feminine?
I think so.
The app.
Oh, come on.
I'll say this: the app that I made for the ponies, yes, it was feminine. Yes.
I was going to pull up your app, and I just realized that I would have to there's not it's not hosted somewhere.
It's not right.
I
need to. I'm actually making a sticky note right now. No, I'll pull up the GitHub for those of you who want to see. But I need to. I just put the faux hosting a screenshot in the README. That does
amazing.
That does not count, Alyssa. Oh goodness. But
that's what we should do. We should all get our demo apps up on that coditlive.dev so that we have a link all the time.
Oh, that's such a good idea. Oh man. The ideas today. Hang on. I'm writing this down.
Yeah.
Demo app. Yes. I love that idea. Because I was like, okay, where are we gonna host?
Yeah.
Okay. So today we got to cover some fun topics. I think is there anything else about Cascade Layers? Like any other?
I'm trying to think if there's anything that I was like, that is super cool. But yeah, to me, just the idea of being able to like move them around, I guess, and to be like, actually, no, that should go on top or that should go beneath, and to just reorder in that like stack at the top.
Yeah.
To me, made the most sense in the world. I love the idea that we can also combining that with the ability to import something directly to a layer. It was like, oh yeah, okay, yep. I am so ready for that. It's one of those things that sounds kind of complex, but then like once you start playing with it, you're like, oh no, this is not hard at all. I'm definitely going to do this.
I think you shared the code pin out earlier in chat. Will you share the color one as well?
Which
I think it was like CSS dot something slash LCH, I think was the
Oh,
URL.
yeah, the LCH color picker.
I just wanted to share that one too, if anybody wanted to play around with those and get excited about it with us.
It's kind of funny because as much as you can like play around with it, you can't actually like see the difference yet because it's not supported. So like, yeah, I'm in Chrome right now, and so I get this little error. You can't really see them, but it's telling me that's not supported. And you can see it a little bit, especially here in Chroma. Like as I move this, you can't tell any difference in the background color because it's not supported. We have to get down to like here before we start to see it shift. So play with it in Safari. You'll probably see it more in Safari.
And of course you were a brony. My son loves that movie, by the way, the latest ones. And there's this part in the movie where the dad pony tells his daughter pony, they like have this little thing they do before bed, hoof to heart, where they like touch their hooves and they touch their hearts. So I'm trying to get my 2-year-old to like hoof to heart it with me. Like,
that's so cute.
Yeah. So you're saying it's not supported, so we can't see it, but one day.
Hold on, I'm looking to see if I can get Chrome in one and Safari, because it's supported in Safari.
Yes.
So I was trying to see if I could get like a Chrome versus Safari, if I can get them like in the same place. So this is at 50.
I love that, Ed. Ed definitely, he's saying he had ponies when he was a kid. My Little Pony.
Aww.
His sister had a bunch, so naturally I needed one. Yeah, that was the problem. When I just remember having this backpack of ponies, and I felt bad leaving any at home. So it's like I had to take them all with me. And at one point I was like, I have this vivid memory being on crutches. I was 5 and I had my huge backpack of ponies because couldn't leave them behind. And it was such a burden. Like it was such a burden.
Aww.
Hashtag worth it. Okay. Are we seeing it now? Where it's
so here you can see it more. So like this one on the right is Safari. So like that's at like 107 and that's at 107. See how this one is more blue? It's a little bit lighter. It's more vibrant.
It is.
That's P3 colors, baby.
And you promised that it will be live tomorrow for all of us, was what you said?
I know. Did I? No.
Yeah,
no.
I heard that. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
You heard it here.
You'll just have to code everything for Safari and view everything exclusively in Safari.
Mm-hmm. Do you work for Safari, ma'am? Ma'am.
Yeah. I hate to say I wish when I'm working somewhere that I actually really like, but if Apple came for me, I think I would go.
If they came for me, I like.
If they came for me in the night, it would be like it would be one of those things where you like throw a bag over your head and you're like, "Where are we going?" Like, don't ask questions.
It's like instead of like a black van pulls up to your house, it's like silver with the Apple logo, and they get out.
That's my problem. That's my weakness. My toxic trait is that I would get in that like a kid approaching a candy van.
I mean,
like,
if it looked like an iPhone in van version, I feel like you'd have to get in, Like,
I would be kidnapped immediately.
Oh, Ed said, something tells me that this backpack of ponies still follows Alyssa today. TSA be like, why all the ponies made it? Yeah. I mean, wouldn't be the weirdest thing I've gotten through TSA, so
Well, yeah, and not when you have a little boarding pass for each of them. So.
Oh my god. That would be so fun. Oh, so now you're just doubling the backpack's weight. Thank you, madam.
Hold on. I need to know the weirdest thing you got through TSA.
Oh, it's going to be super feminine. So if that kind of thing throws you through a loop, then, just leave the channel now. Breast milk. Breast milk was the hardest thing to get through TSA. I was harassed so much about the liquid, the ice packs, the why. And I'm like, do you really want me to get into this? Why I'm doing this?
Oh my god.
Because I was doing conferences and not all of them. I traveled often that first year with Mr. Milks. And when I couldn't, obviously I had to pump. But that was, I think some of the worst things, like if I was like, what's the worst thing about being a woman in tech? Pumping on an airplane.
Yeah, that does sound pretty miserable.
Just gonna
honestly
put it out there. That was the worst thing. So But I feel like
Yeah.
ponies would come in second, like a lot of, like a massive amount of ponies, like just a gross, they open the suitcase, you know, and you're like,
They just tumble out. You're
yeah.
like, oh God,
Oh, pardon
sorry.
me. Can you hand me Pinkie Pie? She's over there. You know.
That's how you go through and they're like, ma'am, you have to take your jacket off. And it's just a trench coat full. Like a watch salesman.
God, you know this exists. You know someone has made a trench coat with the ponies lining. You know it's already happened.
I will say that feels brony. that feels like some bronies.
I was told at one point, because I was made an honorary brony by some other bronies. And so I would often be like, yeah, I'm an honorary brony. That's how much I love ponies. All of the groups accept me. And someone was like, you know, there's a negative connotation to brony.
I was about to say, is
and I was
honor
like,
in that?
I was like, I told that person, no, you will not ruin this for me. I will stay unawares of whatever you're about to say about My Little Ponies. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Pony.
Terrible.
How did we end up here, Kathryn? Oh God. Oh, I love it. What's your shirt, by the way? What's that?
Oh,
Outlaw guy.
Yeah, it is Polywork. I got sent a swag bag. Thank you very much. So
that's awesome.
I was because I was like an early adopter or something, and I'm in their like Slack channel doing some like feedback stuff. I genuinely actually love them. Not to like shill, but also
yeah,
I think they're cool.
I know you told me at one point that you were like not into influencers, and I was like, influencers are awesome. Like, what is your problem, ma'am?
As we were talking about, it's not. We were talking about the difference between like influencer,
and there was a third one.
Thought
leader. That was the one. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I do. Yeah. To me, that's the negative association. Influencer. That gives me an icky feeling inside.
Hashtag be influenced.
Be influenced. I got paid off. I got stickers. I got a mug. I got a t-shirt.
Oh, man.
It's honestly a very soft t-shirt and very soft hoodie.
I'm a thought follow. I love that fuel. I love that.
Like and subscribe. Follow me on Polywork.
Oh my God. And if you want to be really exclusive, figure out how to get in the Slack.
Oh man.
Oh God. Well, I really, really appreciate you showing us Cascade Layers. I'm excited for it. I'm kind of like more excited for the colors, but I'm gonna try to be equally.
I almost wish that I had just like swapped him. Although for like Fuel, who was there this morning, would have been pretty bored to hear about P3 colors like all over again. But I could talk about them for a whole nother hour.
Oh, I can't wait to play with them.
They're so cool.
I do have Safari installed, but every time I open it, I get a little like overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's not my personal jam, but I respect it. I respect that they are leading the pack on this, which I assume honestly just means that there's an Apple device coming soon that they want to make use of the wider color gamut.
Oh my God, duh. Wow. You see things. You see things.
And that's what I was speculating this morning was like, there must be like a super new crazy sharp OLED display thing coming in like whatever iPhone blah 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 is next. And I think once that becomes more standard, like the first MacBook or whatever, I bet this fully supports P3 colors from a hardware standpoint, we'll start to see the other browsers follow suit.
Oh, okay. And that's why you were saying they kind of have to, like they don't really
I think
get
eventually there will be
to not support it. Yeah.
Eventually there will be a point where most hardware supports it. We're not there yet. But once we're in a place where the majority of hardware will support it, the browsers will be kind of on their back foot. And I think that is a pretty solid differentiator. Like literally the ability to serve more visible colors. Like that's huge.
Yeah. I'm so excited. Yay.
We'll see. Okay, yeah. Need more conferences. I'm running out of t-shirts. Yeah. I'm laughing at myself. I think it was like last week, all week, I wore nothing but like conference and tech brand t-shirts, and I felt like a sellout. I was tweeting about it. It was like the scene in Wayne's World where they've like accepted all the corporate sponsorship goodies, and he's like opening the Pizza Hut box, like, I for one will never give in to him. That was it. That was me last week with like 28 different.
Was it intentional
t-shirts.
though? Like it was intentional wearing of the tech t-shirts? No.
No, I just got up and got dressed and threw a t-shirt on, and I just have enough of these t-shirts that's it. That's all I wear anymore.
Mm-hmm. I have a
So
backlog of them. I really feel like, to be fair, I should rotate through them all, but whoops. Yeah, I miss conferences too. I need them as well, fuel. I don't know what's going on though, honestly. Like, I have friends inviting me to conferences, and I'm like, can I say yes? Like, I don't like. I don't.
Back in the.
Well, yes, but then the
conferencing.
conflict in the world, and then different countries, and the flying rules now. I don't know how to keep up with this. I'm so overwhelmed.
I'm keeping it domestic.
Yeah, no, this one was India, and my friends were like, "Can you?" And I'm like, "Can I?" And I'm like, "I'm just gonna try, and if someone stops me, I don't know. I have no idea." So that's where I'm just like,
I haven't even broached that, honestly, but I'm doing some in-person within the US coming up in like April, and that'll be the first time I've been doing in-person conferences since like 2019, so I'm very excited for that.
Yay! If you want to get a ticket, can they still, to where you're going?
Yeah, so I believe it or not, unfortunately for me, I'm doing 4 conferences in April. 2 of them are virtual and 2 of them are in person.
Oh, there's at least that blessing. 2 are virtual, right?
There's at least that. So yeah, I will be virtually at Hover at the CSS conference. And that is April 1st and 8th. They're doing like a split over the weekends. I will be at Codestock in Knoxville, April 7th and 8th, in person in that one. And so I believe will Ed and Sam.
Oh,
so there's going to be a whole Kendo crew.
So if you're in these places or on, virtually, try to come find. Yeah. And then you said 2 more?
And then 2 more, and then I'll be at React Miami in, was that the 17th to the 18th, I think, in Miami, Florida. That will be in person. And then virtually at the Women in Technology Summit.
Nice.
At the end of the month, 20-something.
You're like, it's there. It's in April.
it's there. I got 3 conferences to get through first.
Yeah, I think I'm just doing one in April. IJS London. So if you're in London, let's hang out. I want to see you.
That's gonna be so fun though.
I have this really good friend, Layla Codes It. Some of you might know her from Twitch. I've streamed with her before. She is in the UK, and I was like, dude, I want to take a train. I want to see you. And then she's actually coming to the States the exact same dates. I was like, no.
Maybe you'll see her in Heathrow.
I was like trying looking at that. I was like, can we actually coordinate a layover? Is that a like?
Oh,
that's probably the silliest thing ever. Like adding that to your international travel.
Right, working a layover for me.
Layla, she will be here. I think it's April 25th. Ed is the first day of the bits. The airport's nice.
Yeah, pick something with a nice lounge.
And
then Ed,
I have Codestock.
He will be at Codestock.
Oh.
I looked a lot at Star Trek, and I have a little bit of jealousy. So
Knoxville in Ohio. And if my next one will be NG India, if I feel, I don't know.
That'd be cool.
I feel
like
they were like, "Can you come?" And I was like, "Can I?" I don't.
You told me. Yeah.
I don't know, Kathryn. This is the part where Alyssa's really bad, because I tend to generally just kind of go and then regret it later. So I don't know. Star Trek has a special place in my heart. Oh, so you've been before? Ooh, first conference I got picked to speak at. Oh, that's really cool.
What was your first conference? I'm curious. Everyone's first conference. What was your first conference, Alyssa?
NG Conf. Yeah.
That's a big one. That's such a big one to be the first.
I think that's why I will forever be so like my heart and soul
So
will
loyal.
be sold to that conference. And there's some people, because there's some people who like had negative press about it or something, and I'm like, no, you cannot ruin this for me. And I think that might be why. Yeah. What about you? What was your first?
Ooh, it was back in, I was still doing email then. So I spoke at, it used to be called the Email Design Conference, and then it rebranded and was Litmus Live. I think it's still Litmus Live. But
do you have like, does it still give you like this like soft place in your heart, or?
Yeah, it does. I
Yeah.
mean, that one was a little bit, it's so sweet. I had such a good experience. And then like I applied and I got to do the keynote there the next year. So I got to do like, they did one in Boston, London, and San Francisco. So I got to like travel with the team. And so I have a very soft spot for that one. That wasn't my first, but for that conference, I had that experience with them. And I definitely remember like feeling a little conflicted as I like moved out of email and into like web dev and like application development. I was like, I can't speak a Litmus anymore. I don't have anything to say.
Hey, Thindle. Yeah, I right now I'm trying to bridge the worlds, like, because I'm getting into .NET, but I will never leave Angular behind. So it's definitely, I don't know if you've seen the .NET. They're like two different worlds, right? Like it's like there's the .NET conferences and there's the
JavaScript. Makes me feel better. Angular and .NET are closer than React and .NET.
It's not a lie. You have total, yeah, for sure. I didn't know that though before doing this. I was like, oh hey, there's Angular fans on this side of the fence. That's funny.
Wildly different. It's so bizarre. Like the React community is so like,
it is.
I don't know the right word. Insular sounds really like mean, and it's not that, but I feel like there's less natural crossover.
Well, thanks, chat, for hanging out. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah,
we'll be on. Fun. Are you doing next week's? I don't remember who's doing next week's. Is it you or me?
Oh, next week's UI Mondays. I actually don't remember either.
Hi guys.
We're signing off for real now.
For real. Bye.